Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, and I'm your host for this live podcast, How to Fight CPS with Bob Pace. And I want to warmly welcome you all to to my podcast because here we are to talk about um, the child protection system. Um, that is an agency which is a branch of social services that that watches over our kids. And um, uh, the bad thing about it is, as I'm finding that more agencies are more interested in money than they are on helping out families in need. I want to welcome Faye Manley from Richmond, Kentucky, who has joined us on my podcast. She's a remarkable lady, been through so much. The more I talk to her, the more I see it. She is a very warm and pleasing soul, and she loves to help out others. She is diligent. She loves to help out others. She has two children, and she's trying to get guardianship of her son, who is over the age of 18, and he is a special needs child. And she still encounters a bad police in Richmond and a bad CPS. The CPS system is so bad there. But she's on my show. She'll help you all, and she's listening. She comes up with great ideas. Also, want to welcome any of my other listeners. Not all of you have typed in a comment, so some of you are just listening in the background. That's great. I'm glad to see you all. Um, this podcast is on twice a day, 7 days a week. I come on at 8 at 10 o'clock in the morning, except Sunday I'm on at 8. And then every night I'm on at 7 for an hour Pacific Standard Time. And there's one way you can communicate. Well, there's several ways you can communicate, or I shouldn't say communicate, but to interact with this podcast. This is a live podcast. So you can call me on my office phone number, 626 698 0990. And I love to hear you call in and talk about your case. And I'll put you on speakerphone, and we'll talk about CPS. So that's one way is my phone number, 626-698-0990. Now, a second way of um, interacting with the podcast is you can type in comments. You found me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I'm streaming on YouTube, and I'm using the StreamYard application. And so when typing in your comment, make sure it's about a CPS question. We want to stick to CPS, the Child Protection System. Now, emphasis, everybody uses CPS all the time, the acronym. When I say CPS, I mean the system, not the services, the system, the Child Protection System. Because every state will have different acronyms for the Child Protection System. It's a branch of social services, and it's supposed to protect our children from neglect, abuse, and do family reunification. But apparently, CPS has done just the opposite. They abuse children, they traffic children, they lie, they're not transparent, and I can give you some strong examples about what a CPS worker is. And you really are in a really bad thing when you're with them. And so, in a moment, I will talk about that. But, when after you type in your comment about your CPS question, please show your name, your city, your state, or country. And you'll probably say, well, why is he talking about country? Because right now, in fact, was it yesterday? I had a new person from India, from New Delhi, India, uh, sent a comment in. So my countries so far have been Australia and Canada and Mexico. In Europe, it's been the United Kingdom, Denmark, and Sweden. In South America, it's been Ghana, which is east of Venezuela, north of Brazil. And then in the other country is is Africa. I've had Mozambique on the east side of Africa, north of South Africa, south of Somalia, opposite the Madagascar island there. Then I've had Rwanda, which is near a big lake in east central Africa. Then I've had Liberia. Many times Liberia is called in there. The guy name is Archie, and he is a scout leader. They have a strong contingent of scouts. Now, when I'm talking about scouts, they no longer call them the Boy Scouts. They're called scouts because now girls can join the Boy Scouts. So it's called scouts. Well, anyway, he talks about CPS, and so he's been a really good asset to them. And of course, our newest guy, which is Indian, the guy from India that is married to an American woman and they have a child and they have problems already with CPS. It's sad. It's so sad that we have this agency. And I know that, I used to have a lot of faith and trust in organizations, but not anymore. I've lost my faith in the police. I've lost my faith in the government, such as the IRS and the CPS, the Child Protection Agency. Um, Even the way our presidency has been going. So I've lost a lot of faith that we have any such thing as a good government, a fair government, an honest government, a government for the people. You know, where is this idea that the government people are supposed to represent the people? We aren't represented in Congress. Congress, is hard to get things pushed or changed through your congressperson. I have in the past talked to Congress people before. I've been to the White House. I've been to Congress. I've been to the Washington Memorial. I've been to all around the world, probably 35 times. And I've been to some countries as many as 25 times. And I've been around the world. I've seen Parliament. I've seen how they work, and then you see some of these terrible countries in there. But I want to stick with CPS. So CPS is the bad case. They're so bad. It's just I hear every day something new all the time. Now, be very complete when you text your comment in with your CPS case. Now we have Lori Hiller, who's been with me, I think, almost 10 months. She comes on, she says her name, and then she types in William Mullins. And I have no idea where she's from or what's it all about, but I'm glad to have you, Lori Hiller. Um, Now, be very complete with your case, which means I don't want to play ping pong ball going back and forth where I have to ask you a question and then you answer a little bit and then ask you again. Start off with the beginning of your case. You know, um, how did your case started? What are the allegations? What is the arrangement with you and your children? Is it a girlfriend, boyfriend? Is it a married couple? Is it a partnership? Is it two girls together or two guys together? What is the arrangement with your children? Then are they all the same father, the same mother? Are they multiple fathers, multiple mothers? I find that a lot of the cases are multiple fathers. And I hate to call them, but they're deadbeat dads who do nothing to help out the woman. I mean, men should be careful not to think with the wrong head. They need to think with their brain up there. And so um, it's very, very important that you complete your case, say what the allegations are. Were there abuse or neglect, and what were the abuse or neglect? What were the details on that? And then, where are you at now with your case? Are you at the beginning of your case? Have your kids just recently been stolen? Did you give up your kids? Did you let your kids go? I mean, a lot of people don't know that there's things you should not do, and I did. I broke everything it was in CPS, in Child Protection System. I did not follow my own rules. I have 4 rules that I've come up with. Now, besides calling in or doing comments, you can also be a guest on the podcast. Yes, you can be a guest next to me. I've had lots of people, and I got water coming down on my head. I have no idea where it's from. We have cloudy conditions. Um, I live down at the beach, and so I have coastal fog that comes in. And so now I got drops of water. Interesting. And so to schedule a guest, and you can talk just like I am, be seen on the screen just like I am. You email our show producer. Her name is Grace. She's a remarkable woman who works hard behind the scenes, producing this podcast and helping me out. And she will help you out by giving you the link to the StreamYard to get on. And then she'll tell you how to be a guest, and she'll help me out there. Her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's who you email, who you like, I mean, uh, that you want to be on my podcast. Now, you have 14 shows to choose from, either morning or afternoon, either Monday through Sunday. You pick the date, you pick the time, and she'll go ahead and accommodate you, and you can be on the guest. And so, recently, I had 3 or 4 guests last week, and I'm looking for more this week. It'd be nice. So email grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now I'm going to return to my phone number and leave that up there. That's 626-698-0990. Now, let me help you out if you don't know what CPS is. Let me tell you the typical social worker CPS. And I've talked to, over 10 countries and over 50 states in the United States. And I pretty much have heard it all there. But I'll give you the example that I call the Pink Ladies. The Pink Ladies are a group of social workers that were working out of Prescott, Arizona. Prescott, Arizona. And in 2022, they decided to buy pink t shirts and stencil on the t shirts professional child kidnappers. Professional child kidnappers. And then on the back, they put, "Do you know where your children are? Do you know where your children are?" And then they proceeded to parade through Walmart, Target, and other department stores in 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 Prescott. This is year 2022. These are the Department of Children's Services, which is the CPS, the system in Arizona, Prescott, Arizona. They're called DCS, Department of Children's Services. Well, these workers, I guess, were excited. They tried to interview the workers, they wouldn't comment. No one could find out why in the world that they want. It's like that's what they believe. If those 8 social workers believe that, think about the thousands of social workers around the United States, what they believe. They're professional child kidnappers. And why do you think they're professional child kidnappers? Well, they do a good job at taking your children. If they're not in extreme danger, they'll still take your children. They'll come into your home and say, "Give us your children." And you do not know the law about you don't have to give up or don't have to let anybody in your home unless there's a warrant or there's imminent danger going on. And what I mean by imminent danger is like someone being thrown against the wall, like someone is shooting at one another, fighting with each other, domestic violence is going on. That's imminent danger. The children need to be protected. That's one scenario that they can enter your home and take your children. Another scenario is they have a court order warrant. What that is a legal documentation that is signed by a judge with a wet signature, and embossed on that warrant is a stamp. That's a raised part of the paper. You can rub your fingers across it and feel it. That makes it legit. And on it, it's supposed to say to the name of the person they are planning to see, the children that are involved, the allegations are supposed to be on it, the address of where they're going to go, the date and times they can go to that address, and what they can do. They want to interview the parents. They want to search the house. They want to take the children. You know, that is what a warrant is supposed to be, and it has to be that way. And so you got these crazy social workers in Prescott, Arizona. They were fired, of course, and they were down to one social worker, a man, because they fired the director too. And so all I can say is you got to be careful out there. You got to be heads up. I wasn't. In 2015 is when they came to my home and invaded my home. And like a fool, I talked openly to them and allowed them. Not only did I allow the social workers in, I allowed the police department and the detective in. Little did I know, and actually today I was talking with one of my hosts, and not one of my great people on here, that I was looking up the charges yesterday, and I could not believe what I found, and I did not know the extent of it. It was really surprises me. And again, you're naive. I was a loving father of six children, married for what that time was married. I'm married 32 years now. I have to do the math to think about that, but I was 60 years old when unfortunately I lost my job through no fault of my own. The state of California was broke. The state of California had no money. Why they turned to me? Not because I'm the richest man in California, because I had $53 million worth of awarded public works contracts, works to do roads up and down the highways of California through the Department of Transportation. Well, unfortunately, the governor had no resources because he wasn't, the funds in government. It was like Detroit. You've heard about Detroit, the city of Detroit going bankrupt. They did go bankrupt. Well, California got that close. And so what the government did is try to look to other things within his realm. He cut the social workers in social services. He got rid of all the social workers that had like, 15 years or more experience. And then or I think it was 10 years more experience, reduced the wages because at one time they were paid good money, reduced the wages and use those funds to pay, I don't know, for cigars and Bedouin tent. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you just have to think of the famous line, "I'll be back." Anyway, that governor took my public funds and used them, wrote me IOUs. He wrote me IOUs on the contracts. Here's an IOU. We promise we will pay you, but we can't start the job yet. Now, what he did was illegal. I did not have an attorney. And my owner did not want to fight the state of California. So he had to close his doors on general contractor. We could not keep our doors open for a year or two. I went to the banks and tried to get help there. They were not interested. In 2007, the banks went bellied up because they gave out predatory loans to people that didn't qualify. So money was really tight back then, and I was laid off, and I was so frustrated. But I didn't know my age would be a factor. I thought, oh, I'm still young. I still feel young and everything. So at age 60, I tried to go out for work, and some of the people are saying, well, we're looking for a younger group of people. And I don't know what age has to do. If you're able to function, I mean, they talk about today with the presidents, Ronald Reagan was in his 70s, Trump is, Biden is a little bit older, but, if they can function, I mean, so what if they stutter a little bit or say the wrong name? I mean, oh God, it's like people are so on people. I mean, Biden last night said his vice president, Donald Trump, will make a good president if he had become, he just slipped. He slipped. So, people slip all the time, just like you parents in your CPS cases. You slip all the time. You do stupid things. I did stupid things. And also, the way that the system is handled is so corrupt. I already told you one example of social workers. But, how these allegations come about, they're made by two groups of people. One are lay people, one are professionals. The difference between the lay people and professionals is the professionals, because of their job, have signed agreement that they will report any suspects of neglect or abuse. And it's really hard. Now, these professionals have gone to school and training somewhat. They'll know what abuse or neglect is. So if a child's got bruises all over their body, that is a possible suspect of abuse, physical abuse. But maybe that child, rolled down the hill, or maybe he had a bad bicycle accident, or maybe a bunch of kids beat him up. But it's got to be reported. And it goes to an agency called the Child Protection System. Their problem is that when they get the call, they don't try to ask a lot of questions to substantiate it. They right away say, okay, thank you very much. And then they go after that person. And automatically, when they first talk to the person, you are guilty until you're proven innocent. Any other case of law, any other violation you have, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. You're innocent till you're proven guilty. When you go to criminal court, you're innocent. You're not guilty until the end. You're not guilty until the trial or where they have the judge says you're guilty. You're not. You're innocent before you're guilty. Just like Donald Trump. He was innocent till he was tried and convicted. And he was said guilty. But he still has the appeal process. He still has, to see if that can be changed. Well, in CPS, there's no appeal process. There is an appeal process, don't get me wrong. But the way they work, you're convicted first, and then you got to prove to them you're innocent. And how can you prove to them that you're innocent when these charges are so trumped up that are ridiculous? I've talked to Faye, who's our host, who's a guest here on my podcast, about a lot of things that are trumped up. So when these allegations come in, they're believable. The other group, which I call the lay people, these are individuals that are not trained. They're individuals that are family or friends or even a spouse will call in and try to craze ruckus for alternative reasons. In my case, my in-laws called and I did not know that's what was doing. And for 5 years, every week I had to talk to CPS. For 5 years. I had them come to my house, which I didn't need to. I had them look at my refrigerator. I could see that my kids were getting straight A's and B's in school. They're in STEM program, the science, technology, and engineering and math program. And they went to school. We as parents went to all the back to school nights, all the teacher conferences, all the activities, whether it was sports activities or musical or plays or whatever it is. We went. We supported our kids. We supported our kids in Boy Scouts and in Cub Scouts and in Girl Scouts and AYSO soccer. We tried to pick activities to be good for them. We as a family went on camping trips. We went around the country. I was fortunate to have a job that afforded me the luxury of a beautiful home. My home was my Taj Mahal. It was beautiful. I could not say anything wrong with it. Neither could the social workers. They could never say anything about it. When they came in my home the last time, they put their combat boots on my on my white covers on my bamboo furniture and broke the bamboo. They were standing to look out my French windows at the swimming pool down below, the jacuzzi hidden off in the brush. I had a tropical scene in the back, English garden on the left. It was a huge home. There was it was like they were so surprised and they were They were trying to find something wrong. And unfortunately, my parents um, were, were dying and they were consolidating their house. And they said, can you help us out by giving our belongings to all the family and friends and everything? And I said, yes, I would, because my sister was over in Hawaii and my parents in Santa Barbara, and it was easier for them to see me down here. And so I took all their belongings. Now, they had 55 years of belongings in a 4,000 square foot home. My home was only a 3,000 square foot home, and I thought it was beautiful. So I put all their belongings in my home. Well, that was the mistake. I should have put them in storage, but I didn't have money for storage. I was paying a lot of money. When you lose your job and you have elevated your life to your job style, that was my mistake. I should have kept my lifestyle at a low income, and then I would never have had any problem. But I lasted 7 years before I had to sell my home. And the reason why I sold my home, yes, I was running out of money, but was to get more money to fight the social workers. I needed an attorney, and I wanted the best in the country. And that leads to my rule number one. That is Vincent W. Davis. He is the producer of this podcast, and he was my attorney, and he's what turned CPS around. CPS fears him. He has 35 years of experience fighting uh, the CPS system and getting kids back. Not only does he has 35 years, he's a trial attorney. He's done trials, and so he has that trial experience. He's a fighter. He's a quiet man. He's very easy to talk to. He's a good man. Um, and that's what I'll say about him is that you need somebody like that. He has sued CPS, both state and federal cases, and won millions of dollars. So he's the right kind of candidate. He's in Southern California, but he's not afraid to go to Northern California to fight cases or go to Arizona or other states, far away as Maine. He can go any of the 50 states and practice dependency family law. That is the area you're in. You need to know you want an attorney in family dependency law. Family dependency law. That is the area of expertise you're fighting in. And you need, and I strongly recommend that you at least talk to Vincent Davis with a strategy meeting. He'll offer to talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. And I'm trying to tell you, he's better than any other attorney that I know of for that price. $60 for 30 minutes. He'll strategize with you of how to navigate CPS, how to beat them, how to get your kids back. All you have to do is call in to 888-888-6582. Tell them that Bob Pace sent you and that you want to make a consultation with Mr. Davis. And when you talk to Mr. Davis, please also tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And that's important. He will talk to you. That's $60 for 30 minutes, and it'll make you like. Also, when you talk to him, he also talk to you if you want to retain him as your attorney, and he will take your case on. He'll take your case on. So you need to talk to him, and that's what my rule number one is. You need to get an attorney. Why do you need to get an attorney? It's like you're doing open heart surgery. CPS is that bad. You're Alice in Wonderland that's fallen in a rabbit hole, and you're going from room to room off with your head. It doesn't make sense. You need someone that knows how to do open heart surgery. As you know, open heart surgery requires a skilled doctor that's gone to medical school, that has been an intern, that's got a license, that has mentored another doctor before he opens up your heart. And that's what CPS is just like. So think of that. A family dependency lawyer is what you need. They go to law school, they pass the bar exam, and they mentor another attorney before they unleash. But they're good. They are excellent. And Vincent is one of the best, And I strongly urge you to make that call. That's 888-888-6582. Enough said about my rule number one. Now, if you don't believe the pink ladies are an example of social workers, how about this? A lady a month ago in Chicago, Illinois, decided to post an ad. And this ad was uh, an ad from 1848. That's right, 1848, before the Civil War. And the ad basically said, "Black children for sale. Black children for sale." Now, why in the year 2024 would a black social worker from CPS post that on their Facebook? Why? Why would they do that? And they did that. I don't know, and no one else has given me any kind of an answer or reason why. And all I know is that this black lady had something against black children or something. And anyway, she's a professional child kidnapper. So that's the second scenario. If that's not worse enough, there's a girl that was a guest on her show, Crystal. Not Crystal, I forgot. That's the wrong name. There was a lady on the show who had her daughter go to school, and a social worker came to her school, talked to her daughter. He asked, and it was a he, and he asked to be alone with her daughter, and he asked her to take off her shirt. She was only 13 years old. Why would a guy do that? He is a pedophile. And on top of that, when the mother made a protest to the agency, they wrote her apology letter and he was terminated. But you know what the police told her? Oh, it's no crime. You're telling me that a man who's working for the Child Protection Services can walk in to a private room and be alone with a 13-year-old and ask her to disrobe. That's wrong. You notice that when you go to doctors, if you're a woman going to man doctor, there's always a nurse there with you. If you're going to have children, you always want to make sure the parents are present. If not, a nurse or somebody there. Any adult, whether you're in scouting or anything else, it's like you have to have a two-person rule, meaning that you have to never be alone with a child. That not only protects the child, but it protects you because you can be accused of doing something bad or awful. Can be convicted of doing something bad or awful. And I'm telling you, you got to be heads up because that police department didn't think it was a crime, that pedophile. And that woman's been on her show several times, and if she's listening, I sorry for that happening. The CPS director wrote her apology letter and said the guy has been terminated. But guess what? A friend of his from schooling or something like that is still involved in her case. So I'm telling you, if you don't know now, CPS is corrupt. They're not transparent. They lie. They are pedophiles. They are kidnappers. Now, I was talking earlier about the two types of allegations, and I mentioned how the professionals would get in there. But the lay people are bad because in my case, it was a lay person that accused my family or my wife and I of not feeding our children, not bathing our children, not taking them to school. And I had it over my house. I mean, I proved every step wrong. But this went on for 5 years. And the CPS people are like broken records. They keep repeating. They said, well, you're guilty. We need to investigate this. And they were weird in those 5 years. They were weird. It was terrible. I meet a lot of times outside of my home in the light of the lamp and say, what is it this time? Well, we had a call, blah, 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 blah. You have to be very careful with lay people because they have alternative motives. You could be a neighbor next to a neighbor, and let's say this neighbor doesn't like the way your yard looks. Maybe it overhangs your fence, or maybe you got two big trees or something. They call CPS and says, uh, "My neighbor is letting the child alone outside," and they don't even have a child. They don't even have a child. Good evening. Good morning, I should say.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Who's this?
Hi, sir. My name is Clay. I'm calling from Secure One. Am I speaking to Mr. Christopher Yang?
I'm sorry. What are you trying to reach?
Am I speaking to Mr. Christopher?
There's no Mr. Christopher. You've reached a live podcast about the child protection um, system.
Okay, so I'm not speaking to Christopher Lane.
There's no Christopher Lane. Who are you?
My name is Clay from Secure One.
You're Clay from Pier One. Now, what is Pier One?
Secure One.
I'm sorry, what?
Secure One.
Oh, Care One. And what is Care One?
Secure One.
What is Spear One?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can barely. Your words are really hard. Are you calling from another country?
No, sir. I'm calling from Secure One, and
Oh,
the main reason for the call
okay, Pier
is just
One. Now, what
regarding
does
a
Pier
personal
One
loan
do?
offer that anybody can apply.
Well, no,
You wouldn't have
but
any
you
unsecured.
are
Do you
trying
want to
to
give me
sell
that,
me
sir?
something. I'm sorry to be rude to you, but this is a podcast about the child protection system. Do you have something you want to talk about the child protection system?
Well, so you wouldn't have any unsecured that you want to give it up, such as maybe medical bills,
No,
credit
no,
card
no, no.
debt.
I guess you're confused. You don't know what a podcast is. Secure
Well,
One,
you wouldn't.
Secure One. I have no idea why Secure One would be calling a podcast about the child protection system.
Okay, so I'll partially convenience you. Have a good day.
Yeah, you have a great day. Thank you. Oh boy, that's a new one. Not only do I get calls from countries and people, now I get commercial calls on here. How would someone call this number and offer for Secure One? I have no idea what Secure One is. I should look that up, but um, that's what I miss about having Danielle. I had this co-host that helped look up things, and it's a mortgage loan in Costa Mesa, California. Is what Secure One, well, Secure One Capital, Secure One Financial, and is Secure One a legitimate company? Um, Secure One Financial has a 163 reviews. It has a triple B A plus rating. Um, I think all it is someone that, for whatever reason, is trying to call. So I apologize for the interruption on this podcast. Um, anyway, yeah, we could use financial help. I didn't think about that, but many of you need financial help to hire an attorney. So, as I was saying about the kinds of people responder, that could be that neighbor calling that their child is running loose. Well, CPS calls up the neighbor and says your child's running loose, or comes out to investigate it, and they say we don't have children. We are 80-year-old grandparents. That's how stupid the layperson can be. Or it could be a spouse calling another spouse. That's going to backfire because both parents will lose custody of the children. So if you're a spouse, you don't want to use CPS to get after your partner. You want to show you're united on that. So be very careful of lay people. What they should do is anybody that calls in should write a letter and sign their name to it and be very explicit of what they're reporting about, because the people they're accusing, their life is in their hands. They can be so much damaging. There are people that Faye will tell you about that we're talking. We are trying to help other people. And these people are in bad need. There are people that are worried about being alive anymore. We had a girl 2 nights ago, Leslie, and I'm not seeing her. And um, so you got, these people here that you call in are desperate. And I wish I could wave a wand and make it all go away. I wish I could make it a wand and go all away. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm looking for the Leslie girl that had called and maybe try to call her. I'm worried that. Let me see here. Okay. All right. What I'm trying to reach uh, the girl that I'm really worried about her because she said that she'd run a risk. Hello, Leslie.
Hi, how are you?
Well, pretty good. We haven't heard from you in a couple days. I have you live on my podcast. I have Faye here, but we've been worried
Oh,
about your well-being.
well, yeah, I don't know who I was texting. I'm assuming it was not you. Is that right? Because I
Well, you did text me, and that was good. I'm calling you on my office number, and I did respond to you, but I'm live on the show if you want to talk on the show. Do you want to talk on the show, Leslie? Leslie, I don't hear you.
know I have the word. It's the best time right now. The connection is horrible. I was trying to
Okay,
get
that was all
to.
right. Can you call me tonight? Can you call the podcast tonight?
Yes, absolutely. I'm headed to the state prosecutor's office to state attorney's office right now to see
All
if I
right,
can get anywhere.
right. Well,
Um,
Faye waited for you all day yesterday, the day before yesterday, to help you. So,
oh my goodness, tell her I was trying and trying. It was just I don't know what to do if I can't
well, if you can
call
call
out.
us, tonight, we can try to help you further, Leslie. Good luck with your case in Florida,
That
but
would be.
I got to go back to the show. All right, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thanks. Bye bye.
Okay, I just spoke to Leslie, who's from Florida, and she has a horrible case. Her case is so bad that when you check on her social security card, she says that she's dead. They say she's not alive, and so there's a lot of you have all kinds of unusual situations. Now, welcome Michelle Portner. They stress me to they stress me out all my pregnancy with threats and lies. That child is neglect. Now, imagine Michelle Portner's talking about her CPS case. Um, Child abuse, really, she says. Michelle, I forgot what your city and state is. Much love, Leslie. Michelle says, much love, Leslie. Stay strong, stay safe. She is. She's still okay. Faye and Michelle, Leslie's okay. So, Michelle, what city and state are you from? I forgot. You're coming up on comments here. Um, anyway, going back to talking about the two types of allegations, it's really a shame because allegations are so abused by a lot of people. And in my case, it really was. My in-laws for 5 years were making up stories, and I protected. But then they social workers got tired of dealing with me, and they called the police. They put it in DeKalb County. That is the jurisdiction. Well, I don't know where DeKalb County is. I've heard DeKalb County. Is that in Florida? Um, guys make it so hard sometimes because I have to guess things, and you guys know where you're at, but I don't. So Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, there it is. Um, Michelle Portner is from Atlanta, Georgia, and her case is in uh, DeKalb County. And did you want to call in, Michelle, and talk about your case? My number is 626-698-0990. Thank you very much. I try to help. I mean, Faye is just like me. She and I reach out to people all the time and helping. And she just helped another one of our listeners through some terrible time. And so I'm so glad to have people like you, Michelle and Faye, and other people in my room here talking about it. But you have to be careful out there. And, um, as I said, my rule number one, you need to get that attorney in place. And the court appointed attorney is an attorney that's going to work for you. They, have 30 or more cases. They only talk to you on the day of the hearing. They're not going to fight. They just want to get over with. They're paid by the CPS and they work for CPS. And so when you have court appointed attorneys in the CPS system, the judge, the children's court appointed attorney, and your court appointed attorney for one parent and court appointed for the other parent, all these court appointed attorneys are useless. The only way you're going to fight CPS, I'm afraid, that is at least have one real attorney. The idea was, and if you're inherently wealthy, you would have a attorney for your wife and for you and for each of your children that are full blown dependency lawyers, family lawyers, and that's who you'd have. And so I'm telling you that it sucks because it takes a lot of money. Now, my case really got worse too, as I was saying there. Um, as I mentioned earlier, it was my parents' belongings that did me in. They were downstairs in the living room, not my parents, but the belongings, neatly stacked. I was sorting them, pictures, mementos, knickknacks, things that I could ship to the families. And I was doing that, and that's what they got me on. That's what they really got. Okay, Sky, I'm sorry that you can't. You hate the people tell me you can't win a fight without a paid lawyer. Well, so far I've been doing this since October. I've talked to over 500 people, and I've only heard from two people. One was pro se, and the other one somehow um, had got a pro bono attorney. I'm saying it's just like a doctor's guy. If you're going to need open heart surgery, are you going to open the heart yourself? Are you going to have a plumber try to open it? Are you going to try to have a um, a auto mechanic put your new heart in? No, you get the best, you get the professional. And I'm sorry that I have to tell you that, but you need an attorney. If you can make the court appointed attorney work for you, that means they have to meet with you outside of court. They have to be a fighter. They know how to fight. But I'm telling you, the CPS system is corrupt. The CPS is corrupt. No, I'm not saying never try. I never said that, Sky. And I would love to have you on my show to talk about how you won your case because other people, listeners, could use your ideas. I tried for a year to fight the attorney without attorney, and I lost my daughter. My daughter was told at age of 12 by a social worker that was doing a vendetta that you're going to divorce your parents, you're going to change your name, you're going to seal your birth certificate, and you can be adopted by foster care. I lost my daughter at age 12. She's 22 now. She's 22 now, and she has nothing to do with us parents. Nothing to do with it. I encourage her to see her brothers. She still sees her brothers. And so far, um, you get off at 1. You can call me on my Tonight Show, and I would love to hear from you, Sky. By the way, what city and state are you in, Sky? Because maybe that's a good place to go for cases. But, you know, I tell people that you can fight them yourself, and I did, but I never got anywhere. And I lost one child of my 3 children. I had to hire the best attorney around to get my 2 boys back. So, anyway, thank you for your comments, Guy. I don't know where you're at, but thank you for calling in. Maybe I'll talk to you tonight. Yeah, for all you listeners out there, I wish we all could fight cases ourselves. There is Google. You know, you can do the search browser there, and you can find ways to fight cases. They'll give you steps, but um, Sky is the first one that I've met. I don't know what city or state there. Now, we had a social worker named Carol that was on the show that talked to us for 40 minutes. And she talked about how good her CPS was in her state of Maryland, that she was a clinical psychiatrist, educated in college, and she was 6 months of training in Maryland for CPS cases. But the majority of the social workers in the social worker things of CPS don't have college degrees. They don't have licenses. I mean, in Kentucky, they have licenses. In Kentucky, you have to have a college degree in social work. So there are states. I'm not trying to present a one way fix for all cases. Every case is different. There's so much difference between California and Kentucky because I talk with a person every day about it. So there are differences out there. And I, whatever you do, I tell people don't give up fighting. Whether you have an attorney or not, or whether you're trying to do it on your own, don't give up because in time you will win. You will win in time. It just takes time. And with an attorney, a paid good attorney, you can win and it can be over quicker. But I do know there's a lot of bad attorneys. And one of the easiest way to fake out a bad attorney is ask them, have they done a civil lawsuit against CPS and won? Have they done a civil lawsuit and won? Do they have references? So be very careful of attorneys. I hear all the time that people give 20, 30, $40,000. I spent over a couple million fighting my CPS case. It was terrible. I had to sell my house. And now I have to rebuild my life and I run against a lot of things working against me. One, that I had this case involved. I'm trying to get it expunged. And two, um, my age. And it's right now I'm 74, be 75 this November. I still feel healthy. I still get around and everything. I still got many years to work. But I'm telling you that you got to be careful about CPS. They cannot be trusted. They're out to make a dime off you. And another rule that I have is that you do not want to answer the door to CPS. You do not want to talk to them. You want to keep them away from your home, away from your children. They need a warrant, a court order. I already talked about that earlier. But if they knock at your door, don't answer. Same way with the police. I told you earlier, they only come in if they're in imminent danger or they have a court order. They can only come in your home. And do not talk to them. You don't have, there's no law that says you have to. And so those are very important rules. Also, there's medical trafficking that takes place. That's where you go in to get help for your children and they take your children because of something that you did or not did or whatever. If it's possible, always take your child to the pediatrician that you've been with your kids. And if it's urgent care, go to your urgent care insurance plan and make sure you're upfront with them and tell them If a CPS worker works at the hospital, don't go to that hospital. Call ahead to see if a CPS worker works there because they're lurking. They want their professional child kidnappers. They want to take your child. Now, I talked about the pink ladies. I've talked about the lady that had the black uh, children for sale ad. A third lady I like to talk about, not a lady, it's a guy. And I did tell his story where he photographed a child at 13 with no one around. I mean, come on. Does it take a rocket scientist to recognize that that guy is a pedophile? So that's your MO of social workers. As I say, I've met one social worker, and I challenge any social worker to call in to talk about their CPS and how they do it in their state. I challenge that out there. So make sure, even another one of medical trafficking besides helping your children sick is when you go in to have your baby. They'll try to take your baby. They'll sit, come into your birthing room. Make sure you plan ahead. Talk to the doctor. What is the rules about having strangers come in the room? You only want the doctor or the nurse in there, or your family members and people you designate. And if they want to come in, tell them to wait outside. Unless they have a court order, they have to wait outside in the lobby. And you have the policemen. By the way, policemen are only intimidators. They're supposed to uphold the law and be safe out there. And lately, all I see them as an intimidator. And why I say that? There's a young black man, 24, that died on May 3rd because he answered the door. He was an airman in the United States Air Force. He was a black man, but that shouldn't make any difference. But he opened the door to a cocky sheriff from Gainesville who's been terminated. It took him a week, but they terminate him. It's very obvious that he used excessive force. When there's domestic violence going on, which was the case, and it was in a secure compound, so he had to get the manager to help him get in. And he did no investigation to the surrounding area. He only took the word of the manager that something was going on inside. He didn't listen to the wall to see if anything was going on in. He didn't look at a window or anything. And he just knocked firmly on the door several times, not said anything. Well, the black man came to the door. He did have a gun, but he was registered to have a gun. He could fire the gun in self defense. But he came to the door. What the officer should have done is that when he knocked once, he should identify who he is. And you don't have to do it in an intimidation way. You get more flies with sugar than you do sitting there being gruff or macho. And so, you know, that guy is dead. That could have been diffused. The officer could have been shot. If that guy had the gun, he could shoot right through the door. A bullet's not going to stop a door. So the officer was stupid. He should have gone by the side of the door jamb and then said, knock, knock on the door and said that I'm from the Gainesville Police Department. And I hear there's domestic violence going on. Are you alone? And they say, no, I'm with my wife and we're going to dispute. He was alone. He could have said he was alone. He's talking to his girl on FaceTime, and she watched him die on FaceTime. That's why the camera footage from the officer's camera and the phone footage shows what a terrible act the officer did, the sheriff did. And so, if he had knocked him, identify who he was, and he says, I need to come in to talk to you and search the apartment because of imminent danger that may be taking place. And then what he could have said is told the guy, unlock the door, lay face down, and if you have a weapon, put it to the side. And then he could open the door, peer in, and then got on back of the guy, handcuffed him, pushed the weapon further away, and then searched the apartment for anybody else. And everybody be alive today. Everybody be alive today. Instead, we have a guy that was serving our country dead at age 24 because he answered the door. So, yes, record everything. I agree with you. Record everything. I know it's discrimination at the usual age. I do that all the time. But I'm a fighter, and I still get my water time. I don't let my gills dry up. I love the ocean. I've been married to the ocean for all my life. I started surfing at 7, so I am still strong. I'm still healthy. And I agree. Record everything. Have good paperwork. Well, my time's up. I hate to have to close it down, but thank you so much for Michelle Portner for calling in from Georgia. Thank you, Sky, wherever you are. You say you may come on tonight. That is good. Um, I have a private chat that came in. Oh, juvenile dependency. Thank you. Juvenile dependency. Yeah, I thank you. That's my producer. She is so great. But anyway, to thank the rest of my people, Sky, I hope to see you tonight. And then I like to see um, Lori, thank you. And of course, Faye, thank you so much. God bless you, Faye. Thank you so much. So you guys keep fighting. Don't give up. I'll see you tonight at 10 o'clock. And God bless y'all. This is Bob Pace signing off.